situation has been horrific. It's just getting worse and worse. But Premier Kenney has steadfastly refused to call for total lockdowns, as people like the former Calgary emergency head Tom Sampson has long called for. Instead, the Premier has opted for incremental measures, keeping bars, restaurants, even casinos open. He will not call for a province-wide mandatory mask rule. Even as cases keep spiking, he's insisted that some measures other provinces have taken are, quote, violating people's rights. He's even raised the fears of, quote, a police state. But now, after all of that, he may realize he's let the virus slip out of control. He'll be leading the daily COVID-19 briefing in just under an hour from now, and we think he's going to call for much further restrictions. But is it too late? CTV invited Premier Kenney on this show. He was not available, but the leader of the official opposition in Alberta, NDP leader Rachel Notley, is joining us. And Rachel Notley, always a pleasure to have you on the program. The Premier's addressing Alberta tonight. What do you want to hear from him finally?
Well, we want to hear that he finally takes these issues seriously, and that he does what we've seen leaders in jurisdictions that are dealing with much lower case rates than we are in Alberta have already done, which is to move to significant restrictions to essentially keep people from coming together in places where they don't wear their masks and mixing, which is something that, quite frankly, this Premier has enabled for some time. He brought in his first round of half measures on November 13th. Since then, our cases have doubled. We not only have the highest per capita case rate in the country, we just have the highest number of active cases overall. And as you know, we're just roughly quarter the size of Ontario. So it's outrageous, and our healthcare system is really stretched to the limit now. And I am a little worried that we may see it actually fracture before we actually manage to get things under control.
Well, that's it. 2 weeks ago, as you say, he brought in some more restrictive measures. But you and a lot of other folks have asked people, ask him to put in more restrictive measures a long time ago. He just didn't want to do that. He was saying, we don't want to hurt the economy. In your view, was he lagging behind COVID? Was he too little, too late?
He absolutely was. I mean, first of all, he was embracing what I think many people have already said on your show and in other places, is that this is a false dichotomy, this idea that protecting people's health is somehow being done at the expense of the economy. The fact is that the economy suffers if we don't protect people's health. And he has failed to see that. I actually think that it goes beyond that. I think that he was worried that if he took the measure to shut things down, that he would be on the hook for the necessary support that needs to go to small businesses and job creators throughout Alberta to help them through this. And so that's why we've said not only should we put in place these measures, but then we should take responsibility for those consequences and support small business owners to get them through these tough times. Now, we're probably going to have to be closed even longer, and we're actually putting more pressure on the economy as a result. We should have moved much faster, and of course, I cannot emphasize enough how concerned I am for folks that are working in our hospitals and continuing care who are being stretched to the limit. We just heard this morning that the military is training reservists to go in as early as this weekend to help, and that's something that this Premier and his health minister didn't even know was happening. So it's not good.
Yeah, there's concerns about the ICU beds. There's been these calls for the field hospitals. We're watching our brothers and sisters in Alberta real close. Rachel Notley, we'll be watching the Premier's words tonight. I always appreciate you taking the time. Do take care and stay safe.